a bad situation you do nothing about now will get worse. The government from top to the bottom lack the willpower to deal with the issue of concern as it affects Nigeria.
Okay.
The willpower. You know, now in leadership, there are three must have. You must have the head. The head to think through things.
Yes.
You must have guts. The guts to be able to take very decisive decision when it matters most. Then the place of empathy, the heart. You must have the heart to empathize with people when it matters most. But these three things I've just mentioned, they're almost not there. They're almost not there. Particularly the guts to take action on criminal elements that ravage the peace and tranquility of this nation. The guts is not there. That is why the president cannot fire people who have failed abysmally with day-to-day reports that he gets. That is even when he gets those reports. Because when you surround yourself with sycophants, people who tell you what you want to hear, this is what becomes the outcome. There is no excuse that is good enough to justify failure. No excuse good enough to justify failure. President asked for this job. He said it was his turn. And the turn was given to him. So no matter whatever it is, he should be able to surmount it. You cannot change the goalposts in the middle of the game. He told us he was prepared to address all the issues that, of course, pervade the country. That's why Nigeria believe that, okay, if he's done so much in 8 years in Lagos as a governor, then he can do so much with experience and with age that has come. So Nigerian, whether we agree with the election or not, gave him the franchise, and today is our president, 3 years running. So telling us that some people are now doing it for political whatever it is, those are things that he should have prepared for before ever coming out. For crying out loud, please, if he needs to fire all the people he have in his coffers now, he should fire them. We must change this mentality, this syndrome of always talking about re-election when the essence of going to be elected has not been dealt with tremendously. So we are saying that there must be value for life. Those 39 student teachers in Oyo, they are still in captivity. Nothing has happened. We've not heard anything yet about their release or safe return. So all of this, leaves much to be desired of a government. And the next thing you hear is 2027. On your mandate, some people will start. Which mandate?
Only 7 months to the 2027 general election, a reign of insecurity casting a shadow over preparations for what should be a watershed democratic exercise 33 years after the June 12, 1993 historic free and fair elections. Now, between January and May of 2026 alone, no fewer than 5,272 Nigerians, that's according to media reports, have been killed in violence-related incidents. Now, according to the 15th report on violence in Nigeria released by Nigerian Watch, 222,137 Nigerians were killed in 46,182 violent incidents across the 36 states and the FCT between 2006 and 2025. Now, this backdrop, the 2022 death toll has prompted the Independent National Electoral Commission, that's INEC, right activists and senior lawyers to warn that the polls scheduled for January 16th and February the 6th of this next year could be conducted under a cloud of an unprecedented security crisis. Continued terrorist attack, banditry, kidnapping, and other violent crimes in most zones of the country, especially in the Northeast, Northwest, North Central, and now crippling into the Southwest, have caused tension and fear. Now, with President Tinubu's Democracy Day broadcast promising Nigeria of a secured country and dealing decisively with the non-state actors, many Nigerians say it's better seen than words if we want to see a change in the state of things in the nation. Will the coming of state police help improve the security situation in the country? It's another big question. But more importantly, will all of this insecurity cause a cloud over the election? Well, this and more will take center stage on the show today as we look at the state of the nation. That's why we're taking a critical look now. We're looking at the state of the nation, looking at how things seems to be at the moment. And not only that, but looking at what the elections will be come 7 months' time. But anyway, we'll not wait that long to discuss about it. We're discussing it right and here, and we'll have no other person. But you do know anytime we tend to talk about issues, we tend to bring the right resource persons to help us deliberate, dissect, and most importantly, dialogue on the issues that be. I will have no other person but Mr. Edewor Egedegbe. He's a human capital development practitioner, and you do know he's the executive director of the Value Rebirth Centre, director of studies right here in Delta State. And also, he's the coordinator of the Transition Monitoring Group at Delta State Steering Committee. And he's joining us to really talk about this. Good day and welcome to the show, sir.
Good morning, and thank you for having me.
Well, anyway, it's not a good morning for many, especially the wife of the late general himself, Rabi. Insecurity is really spiraling out of control. As of 3 months, we've lost 4 generals under a space of 3 months. Even the Iraq-Iran war, and rather the US and Israeli war, even that of the Russian-Ukraine war, they did not lose 4 generals under 3 months, and they are still in a state of war, but we are not. But we're losing this much. Well, the president had a lot to say just the day before yesterday, talking about Democracy Day, and he made mention of us trying to bear, but he also gave that promise of dealing with the insecurity that seemed to have bedeviled us. Now, but I want us to look at that. According to that report from Nigerian Watch, we have about close to 5,000 something deaths within a span of 4 months. Sir, does it sound as if we're in a state of war, or has it been ever since this bad, even before or after the civil war? Let's understand. Insecurity.
Okay, thank you. My first response would be a quotable quote that I put out there for many years back, that a bad situation you do nothing about now will get worse. Yes, I've said that from inspiration several years ago. And it's playing out day after day as we run as a nation. Now, don't forget that insecurity came to the fore in this dimension far back as 2009, when there was bombing and all form of attack, beginning with the Federal Capital Territory, and now snowball into every part of Nigeria.
Yes.
Now, with all of that happening, at the initial stage, when people like us and various human rights advocates and civil society practitioners were calling on the government to be more decisive and more realistic in approaching the issue, government decided to go for the optics. They go for the optics by telling people what is not. Today, insecurity has festered for years in Nigeria, unabated. And the successive government has massaged the egos of, elements of disunity, elements that criminalize every of their action. And today, you hear a word when I listen to the president's speech on Democracy Day. Among the things he said was that, okay, they will give them time, whether they could come, then if that fails, then they will get,
do we have the time to give them?
That's my worry. That's why I said a bad situation you do nothing drastic about, we get worse. It is worsening today. Of course, you hear the complaint, the hue and cry from almost everybody that speaks now within and outside Nigeria, calling us that we're already failing. At the risk of sounding immodest, we will say that the system has failed. So how do you tolerate what is not working? We've had successive administration, they massage, you give marching order to security agencies, and they don't go anywhere, they don't come out with tangible results. Okay, look at what has befallen us now. A retired general, the spokesperson for Defense Headquarters for that matter, was held with a wife, and now life snuffed out of him. The wife, she's in limbo. We don't even know where we are. The question you ask is that, now you know that the dead body of the retired general was brought out by those security agents. I mean, those criminal elements. It was brought out. So where is the place of our intelligence? Where is the place of all the gadgets that we have gotten over the years? Don't forget that for some years back now, the improvement on funding to the security agencies can be top-notch. But what have we gotten as a feedback from all of those deployment of funds? And nobody's, security agencies are telling us that they're on top of the matter. that we never get out of. The president and commander-in-chief will give marching order, and nothing comes out of those orders, and nobody is fired for inept. So it tells you that government knows more about what's happening than we think of them.
Now, talking about know what's happening, because I want to continue on that line of discussion. Now, just last week, we had 98 incidents of insecurity, where we had about 50 criminal actions being taken part just within a week. Now, also, some couple of weeks back, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu said some of this insecurity is being caused by some non-state actors that want to embarrass this administration. So my next question is, do you feel there are certain persons that are politically motivating this insecurity to try? Because how can you explain us having almost 50 kidnaps, attacks by bandits within 1 week? 1 week. And this is getting close to the elections. So do you feel there's a political undertone really bringing out its face, especially as it concerns this growing insecurity? Why so much now?
Yes. So before responding to that question, I like to say this, that there is no excuse that is good enough to justify failure. No excuse good enough to justify failure. President asked for this job. He said it was his turn, and the turn was given to him. So no matter whatever it is, he should be able to surmount it. You cannot change the goalposts in the middle of the game. He told us he was prepared to address all the issues that, of course, pervade the country. That's why Nigeria believe that, okay, if he's done so much in 8 years in Lagos as a governor, then he can do so much with experience and with age that has come. So Nigerian, whether we agree with the election or not, gave him the franchise, and today is our president, 3 years running. So telling us that some people are now doing it for political whatever it is, those are things that he should have prepared for before ever coming out. So I'm saying this because election cycle is here.
Yes.
People will now come and tell us things that are not realistic. And when they get in there, they want to shift the goalposts in the middle of the game. Nigerians are more circumcised now. They are more cerebral now in terms of knowledge, in terms of technology, and the know-how about how governance should be than what they think of before. So I'm saying this, that look, President, with due respect to him, he should get back to business and redeem his image. That this is not the promise he promised Nigeria, that when he comes, he's going to address XYZ. What we see is insecurity in the highest order. Lives just going in droves. Men slaughtering human beings as if they are slaughtering chickens. Nobody takes that, no matter the excuse. So he should face the job that he has asked for. For crying out loud, please, if he needs to fire all the people he have in his coffers now, he should fire them. Because you don't even hear anything realistic coming from all of those people in government. They keep telling him that all is well, whereas we are in a shambles as a nation. Okay, you are talking about insecurity here. Now talk about what is happening to Nigerians in South Africa, Ghana, and other countries. All of this is happening at the same time, meaning that whatever policies and programs of government is not speaking to the yearnings and aspirations of Nigerians. That's why you see the multiple reactions coming from everywhere. But we tell Nigerians, look, let us not watch what we don't like. Let's speak truth to power, and let's get our PVC and determine what happened in 2027 against what we have seen before. There is no point sitting at the fence again. Nigerians should not sit at the fence again because we all suffer sitting at the fence. Can we now come out? Now, somebody said, if you talk, you will die. If you do not talk, you will also die. Why not talk so that even if you die, people know that it's because you talk, that's why you die. So life sitting at the fence is no more, serviceable now for us as Nigerians. So, Mr. President, wake up and address the issues that plague this country, Nigeria, that is so blessed and we are not so well governed by successive administration, even up to this current one that we have. Too many complaints and praise that should happen.
Okay, now talking about what needs to be done, because we in the media were really also in a quagmire, because looking at all that played out, presently now we spent about 57.17 billion naira in the last 4 months on the issue of insecurity, and yet we are having countless cases of this still happening. One of the most troubling one is 37 persons were kidnapped last week They went to negotiate the release of their villagers in Zamfara, and they got kidnapped. And according to our report, we do know that it's the bandits called Smalley that was responsible for that in Zamfara. Security report reaching us here now on dialogue. Now, my question, you've called out the service chief to resign. Let's understand where we seem to be losing it. Because if we're having some successes, we had some of these bandits neutralized last week. We're still having some of them also. But the problem is, why so much spread? Do you feel there is inside collaboration? Do you feel some persons are not really ready within the government sector to give these people a heavy blow? Do you feel there is a lack of professionalism in the hands of the security agencies? That's why we cannot really put a hold on the level of insecurity in the country. Let's understand where we seem to be losing. Yes, it's the government's duty, according to the provisions of the Constitution, to protect lives and properties. But sir, what are we lacking? Where do we seem to lose it that we're still losing the war against insecurity?
Now, I'll tell you three things here. First, we lack the willpower.
Willpower.
Yes. The government from top to the bottom lack the willpower to deal with the issue of concern as it affects Nigeria.
Okay.
The willpower. You know, now in leadership, there are three must have. You must have the head. The head to think through things.
Yes.
You must have guts. The guts to be able to take very decisive decision when it matters most. Then the place of empathy, the heart. You must have the heart to empathize with people when it matters most. But these three things I've just mentioned, they're almost not there. They're almost not there. Particularly the guts to take action on criminal elements that ravage the peace and tranquility of this nation. The guts is not there. That is why the president cannot fire people who have failed abysmally with day-to-day reports that he gets. That is even when he gets those reports. Because when you surround yourself with sycophants, people who tell you what you want to hear, this is what becomes the outcome. So these are the major reasons why there is this lack of pushback. How do you tell me that ramshackle elements, like I will call them, who are just in few numbers, will be now more sophisticated to now trample on the Nigerian military that has been adjudged as one of the best military in the world? Nigerian military law enforcement agents that have gone outside the shores of this country and have done so tremendously.
Peacekeeping mission.
In a peacekeeping mission, Sierra Leone, Liberia, Ecomog, and name it. Now we are back home here like chicken who have come home to roast. It's also unacceptable. So now the next thing I would like to talk about is the absence of value for life. We do not seem to have value for life. Our leaders today, they are just preoccupied with re-election. Now, the day a Nigerian politician is elected and sworn into office, he's thinking of the next 4 years and play governance to the background. All of these have to change. We must change this mentality, this syndrome of always talking about re-election when the essence of going to be elected has not been dealt with tremendously. So we are saying that there must be value for life, which is why chapter 2 of the Constitution is clear. The essence of government is to protect life and property. If lives are dying daily, properties are being lost. I watched a video, a script yesterday of one of the community in Benue that they were celebrating 1 year of the massacre of a community. And 1 year after, nothing has happened in that community. It's not been built for no fault of the people. And we say we are a government. So where is the protection of life and property? Are you telling me that the ramshackle elements are now overwhelming our sovereignty as a nation? The answer is no. Somebody just needs to wake up from slumber. I believe a number of our leaders are slumbering when they should be awake. So I'm calling on them to wake up. This is not where people speak truth to power. They are seen as being against government. No. Of course, the Constitution is very clear on the right of the freedom of expression in line with law. We are expressing our displeasure on the government because what the government promised us is not what we are saying. you look at the number you reel out now of deaths within a number of time. And look at the caliber of people that are even now joining the fray. And don't forget, those 39 student teachers in Oyo, they are still in captivity. Nothing has happened. We've not heard anything yet about their release or safe return. So all of this, leaves much to be desired of a government. And the next thing you hear is 2027. On your mandate, some people will start. Which mandate? The mandate that is not been properly, delivered in terms of, return on the trust Nigeria possibly imposed, given to you in 2023. So there should be a wake-up call at this right point in time.
Now, talking about a wake-up call, in case you're joining us, indeed, is dialogue. And today we're looking at the state of the nation, especially as it concerns the growing insecurity that seems to be ravaging the country at the moment. And many are calling for more to be done, especially our guest in the studio right here. I'm talking of no other person. But anyway, I'd rather call him Pastor Edewor Egedegbe. Well, apart from the issue of calling the right authorities to order to do the needful, there's every tendency that Nigerians are also indeed scared, knowing that the election is fast approaching, and will that in every way deter, especially the conduct of the elections, and will it be free, fair, and indeed credible to all? Well, all of that is what we're still taking a critical look at the nation at the moment. Well, anyway, let's really run back to it, because, just last week here, another school of thought came on board, and the school of thought is the issue of creation of state police. In the House of Representatives, we had about 289 persons voting for in the second reading, and one person voting against that very call for the creation of state police. So let's look at state police, because many will say it looks as if our armed forces were not having enough required person. And at the moment at the stand, we have only 377,000 police manning a total number of almost 200 million persons. And many will say it's quite inadequate. So let us now look at the issue of state police. Do you feel that's the best way to go? Because many are saying, well, indeed, state police will bring police closer to the people, will bring police closer to the issues, will make it more state-based, rather than looking at a federal system that seems to be collapsing and not having a firm grip around all these states. So is state police going to do any change, or will they have any change of narrative as it concerns insecurity in the country?
Okay, before I go to the issue of the state police, let me address one of the issues you raised there. Each time Nigerians give us figure of the number of police personnel they have, the military personnel, I don't usually agree with those figures. Okay. Yeah, because I'm not sure about how they arrive at those figures. And the figure has always been 350,000 police officers for many years now.
For 5 years.
For 5 years. It's been always that same number. So for me, I don't want to go with that figure. Okay. I just need to put that.
But we're having a whole lot of Nigerian police officers being killed. We're having little or less recruitment into.
Of course. So that's why I really
you are free to do so.
Oh yes. Yeah. So now talking about state police, yes, state police is welcome. For me, it's welcome. Even beyond state police, I'm also looking at the local government police and even community police. Okay. So let there be this, breakdown, division of this police architecture. Okay. Like you have in the US, county police and sheriff and all of it. And it's working for them. We can also bring that here. And I remember growing up much, some years back, and I saw that community policing was out there, where in every community, the head of the community and those governing the affairs of leadership in the community know exactly everybody that lives in that community. That's community policing. Policing talks about intelligence, more importantly, before you talk about the force that is applied when there are deviants in society. But today, we don't even have much on intelligence gathering. We just go about the brute force that is usually associated with the Nigerian police force, as the name implies. Okay. Rather, when you do intelligent policing, that's where community policing becomes handy. So beyond the state police creation that most of us have clamored for, we have to say that it should extend. So the framework, the legal framework that is being, shown out from the National Assembly should even go beyond just state police to local government police and community policing, so that everybody in your locality, you are policing yourself. It is when the matter is beyond the community police It's cascaded to local government, from local government to state, from state to federal. Federal police should be addressing, federal issues. When I mean, engaging of federal institutions and federal agencies and things that have to do with federal might. That's where the Nigerian police, as it is today, will now be addressing. But state police will address issues that are the exclusive reach of the state. Then local government, community. When we do it that way, of course, there will be quick response.
Okay.
There's what we call in the development sector early warning and early response.
Yes.
So once there is an early warning at the community level, there is a process put in place that responds to those early warnings. Is it at the local level? There is a process that is already put in place that responds. So this is where those level of policing comes into being. Not the reactionary thing that we do. In Nigeria, we refuse to be proactive than be reactive. It is when the deed has been done that you see reaction. So when you gather enough intelligence as a product of criminology and security studies, I can tell you clearly, crime does not happen in a day. Crime takes time to fester.
Yes.
It comes with the conception by those perpetrators, then evaluating the environment and where the crime will be perpetrated to the point of actualizing all of it. So when there is clear intelligence, at the point of planning, intelligence can decode that and snip at that point without even taking the action. That is proactive engagement of citizenship. So I am saying that, look, there is what to do. And what to do in this case is known. But the will to do it.
That's the question.
That's the question. That's why I tell you earlier that majority of what is affecting us today is the will on the government to take those decisive action when necessary. Rather, they choose to, go play the ostrich by always, telling us what they think that is making meaning to us. But for us as Nigerians, majority of us, except for those who benefit from those psychophancy and high-handedness, it doesn't make any sense to us.
Okay, now I want us to make sense as it concerns how the state police will be structured. I was opportune, or rather we on Dialogue were opportune to look at this very bill. I will have about 18 clauses that will help to alter the provisions of Section 214 and Section 215 of the Nigerian Constitution as amended to help creation of the state police and federal police. But irrespective of these altercations that will help to indeed snowball and help give birth to the state police, there's this fundamental question that's always been raised, and the issue of control. You agree with me that Nigerian politicians do enjoy being in charge, have that tool of wanting to control what it is. Let's look at the issue of the local government funds and how it is up to today. Undermining the provisions of the Constitution had given free disbursement of funds from the federation account straight down to the local government account. We still do know that state governors are basically in charge of these funds, irrespective of. So let us now look at the issue of control, because that is a major and critical talking point as it concerns the state police. How will this not still fall into the hands of governors and use them as a political tool to winch hunt the opposition, winch hunt their opponent, and sometimes even perpetrate crime? So how are we going to also scale down these so we do not end up having a beautiful bill but an ugly bride at home?
Okay, so for me, state police is necessary now. And like I've also said earlier, that it should even go beyond state police to local government and community policing.
Yes.
So that it's down to the background.
Yes.
Now, let me also now address the issue of local government autonomy that governors have not yielded to. These are some of the reasons why I take it back to Mr. President. When you give, when the law has spoken,
yes,
everybody is subject under the law.
Of course.
So it is to enforce that law. It's enforcement. And that's a weakness on the side of Mr. President, if you ask me.
Okay.
Because the law Supreme Court cannot say that local government should have autonomy for over 1 year. And government, I listened when Mr. President had directed at some point, I think by January this year,
yes, that
any government that does not allow local government autonomy, that their fund will be held back. But we've not had that. Yeah. But because they want to do it, they want to come back in 2027. So nobody wants to offend anybody. So this is where you have the lack of implementation. It is self-serving, not the people serving. That is on that. Now, coming back to whether the governors will not weaponize,
the
use of state police against the citizen. I do not see that happening.
Okay.
Though we are yet to see the full elements of the law.
Yes. Of the bill itself.
Of the bill that will now be passed into law at the end of the day. But even having said that, I also believe that docility of citizens has to end.
Docility?
Yeah, docility of citizens has to end. And I can tell you this for free, and to our listening audience out there, that look, politicians are more scared. They are more afraid of citizens than we are afraid of politicians. I've worked in the development sector for upward of 30 years now, and I relate with people from top to the bottom. And I can tell you for free that politicians are more scared of what the people can do than we think of them, that they will come after us. Now, if, for instance, you see what happens when there is, attempted to protest.
Protest, yeah.
You see the apprehension in the heart of political office holders. You saw it in NSAS.
Yes.
When people were able to run into hiding.
And funny enough, Democracy Day, we had protests.
Of course.
Yeah.
So you see the tensions that greets them. So that is what I'm telling citizens, that look, your right is your right. Your right to express yourself is your right. Take a determination by you as a citizen and say no to any happening either by governor, by president. Let's say no to it. So let nobody now begin to say, oh, for the fear of governors, they will weaponize the state police against citizens. That should not be an excuse at all. So citizens must rise up. They must say no to any act of government by the center, by the subnational, even by the local government, by whoever that is appointed. Don't forget, any public office holder is holding that office in trust for the citizenry. Okay. And not a hereditary thing. Today, don't forget now, we are coming to something that I call very abnormal. Okay. That, former governor, former president are now trying to make, a royalty of government office today. Yes. That a former governor will bring his daughter, his son to take over. Then that one will now bring his own son to take over from a country that is so diverse with interests.
Yeah, as it stands now, we have 3 former governors of Delta State that their children are either in the House of Assembly or federal representatives.
Yes.
Yeah, we do.
That's what I'm speaking to now.
Contested.
And it's all over the place, not just even Delta. And citizens are just sitting aloof and watching. That era has to stop. We must wake up and say no to what is not profiting us as a people. It's only what you say yes to that comes to pass for you. If you say no, it won't happen. And we have the right to say no. All of this I'm saying, I'm speaking to 2027. Well, I'm speaking purely to 2027. That Nigerians should determine who becomes who. Who becomes so-so at so-so point when, January 16 come, and of course, February when the election for governorship holds. That's how we can redeem this country. If not, it's sliding into almost, going into extinction.
Okay, well, anyway, we'll still look at the state of the nation. Like I said, that's what we're having as a critical discussion today on Dialogue. And what better way to start the week other than starting it on trying to understand where we stand as a people, especially as it concerns some of the major things that seems to be bedeviling our very big development as the largest and populous Black nation on the planet. But anyway, let's come to another issue that would definitely shape in our future, and which I know you also dear, and that's the issue of the elections. As it stands now, INEC has given the 11th of July as deadline for the submission of candidates that will be contesting the general elections come January 16th and February 6th of 2027. Now, politics is now taking center stage, just like what you said, and governors have taken to the back seat, and indeed many are crying on account of that. But let's still look at the policy, because if we do not get it right come next year, we might also be facing this in the next 4 years, and issues will definitely arise. But let's look at INEC itself. In your own honest assessment, and as an observer for many years as it concerns our elections, are you comfortable with the preparations of INEC as it stands
now? For me, if I say I'm comfortable, I'm only deceiving myself. Because the first person you deceive is yourself, and not the people you think that you are deceiving.
Okay.
Because for this INEC under Professor Mopito, he came with a whole lot of baggage of integrity, and that has been said over and again. Many people saying that he was he's been allied of Mr. President several years, even up to last election and all of that. So he has that integrity question hanging on him.
Okay.
So that, first of all, has diminished, the public trust that we would have for him as the chairman of the INEC. Now, having said that, preparation is another part that you need to talk about. So people are viewing it from different perspective now, that INEC under this government seems to be doing the bidding of the ruling party. Okay. Most times.
Okay.
By, hurrying a whole lot of processes to hoodwink the other parties for not having a strong contention in those respective offices. So those people have their grounds on that. And this, we are saying, is orchestrated by the chairman of INEC and of all the other officers that works with him. So, in terms of preparation, I've not seen so much that could build confidence in the Nigerian state, as it were. But like I always tell people, hope is the essence of life. So we cannot lose hope entirely, but we can speak truth to power by saying that INEC must come up overboard, not to listen to one political class. They must listen to Nigerians. So when Nigerians are saying, hey, INEC, you need to stop and do XYZ in the interest of Nigeria, not in the interest of the man that appointed you. Don't forget, I've been in this your studio and several studios talking about, the appointment of INEC, the appointment of all relevant agencies of government that should be independent, that is being done by the president and commander-in-chief. That has clearly, bring a disrepute to those offices by virtue of the interest, the personal interest that overrides the corporate interest as it should be. So I am saying that, yes, we will not lose hope entirely, but we will speak to those issues that could, make Nigeria lose it after all, so that those at the helms of affairs will listen, which is one of those things is that Mr. Chairman of INEC must listen to Nigerians. In shunning out policies and programs, giving directives to what happens, when, how, and where, it must be in conformity with the overall interest of Nigeria and not the interest of some self-serving personnel. No. And that will take me up to also speaking to the role of security agents in election. The police is the lead agency in internal security.
Yes.
They drive all the other, agencies of, government that work around security, INEC related concerns. They must be circumspect, especially this current IG that seems to be people-centered in his programs so far with what we have seen. It must, shun any attempt to be perceived as doing the bidding of Mr. President and not the bidding of Nigerians. Which is why when I have opportunity of talking to some of those security, top chiefs, I tell them, look, every government comes and goes. You have a mandate of 35 years or 60 years, whichever comes first, as a public servant. So, when you don't serve the interests of Nigeria, the oath of office you have betrayed. I don't cry foul tomorrow. Like I listened to one commentator early this morning. He was saying that when the late, God bless his memory, the late Army General that died now, when he has the opportunity of speaking at the Defense Headquarters as the Information Director, he was speaking what the government want to tell the people. But today, those people that they tell you one day they have neutralized them, they are the same people that have captured him. And he lost his soul. And the person was speaking to the current serving officers that, look, instead of stemming out this very unwanted guest that you people are romancing with, so that your tomorrow will be safer when you retire, you are massaging them. You are romancing them. So when you continue in this, God forbid, we don't wish anybody evil in this country, that those things you refuse to address now, they become your banana peel when you are out of government. Nobody lives in government forever. So they must know. And this cut across all public service, personnel, that the people must come first. There must be a Nigeria before you become a head of one agency of government or the other. So what we bring about, the Nigerian spirit, that's what all of us should gravitate towards, not those self-aggrandizing, philosophies and background that we create, that we want to believe that we are above every other person because we are in position of authority.
Well, thank you so much on giving us that very elaborate explanation as it concerns your belief in the Independent National Electoral Commission and the umpire himself.
Yes.
That will definitely snowball or in every way help in giving birth to our next democratic feeling and also our next democratic practice. But let's remain with another player as it concerns the elections come next year. And I want to talk about the opposition. Yes, the ruling party seem to be having its dealings right. Because as it stands now, we do know some of those that will be contesting for the general election come next year. But that for the opposition seems to be in murky waters. And it's not still too clear. One political party I'll be looking at is that of the NDC, being ruled by no other person but Senator Seraki Dixon, former governor of Bayelsa State, and who has the presidential candidate of Peter Obi and Rabi Kwankwaso in a joint ticket as president and vice president. But as much as we're looking at that, I want us also to look at that of the ADC, which has no other person but Atiku Abubakar. And we are now hearing that Rotimi Amaechi might be his running mate, if he's not already his running mate. And look at all that transpired and the rancor that seems to be in these political parties. You do understand Kenneth Okonkwo came out with a weighty, strong allegation against the NDC. And we also know Babache Lawa, the former SGF, has also come out to criticize all that played out during the ADC primary. So let's look at internal democracy in these opposition parties and looking at them and what they might also be when it comes to the general election. Do we even have pure internal democracy and our democratic process inter-party, not a spillover of what will definitely be in general elections? General elections, sir.
Okay, so talking about opposition, how prepared is the opposition
and
to possibly...
how credible
are they to wrest power from the government at the center today?
That they are criticizing.
Yes, good question. Yes. Now, I start with the ADC.
Okay.
There's a statement you made, though I've also listened to it, as I read it on some of those platforms, that Rotimi Amaechi is touted as a potential running mate to Atiku Abubakar. If Rotimi Amaechi hit that call, then his political name would have gone to the oblivion. Oh yes, that's my view. Rotimi Amaechi, if he now condescends to now take the vice presidential slot, now align the power to leave the south to the north, then he must be a double-faced person. Oh yes, because I followed Rotimi when he was DG campaign to President Buhari for 2 tenures, and he served in that government. And now power has gone to the south. We're almost coming to terms with that 8 years here, 8 years there. So if he breaks that cord, I don't see his political relevance any longer. That is just for the Rotimi Amaechi. Now, to talk about ADC, when I saw the emergence of ADC and the gladiators that, the proponent of the ADC, I knew that ADC was not going to be a very credible opposition. Oh yes, from the beginning. I mentioned that at different platforms when I'm privileged to speak about that. The reason is you have too many power mongers. Oh yes, power mongers coming together. So, of course, I know things will usually fall apart, that the center will not hold. Don't forget, ADC have 2 factions. They have 2 factions of presidential candidates. So that's a major blow first until maybe the court now determines at the long run. So that has already skewed their profile, if you ask me. Now, moving to NDC, that is being pioneered by our southern brother here, Seraki Dixon. Yes, NDC seems to be pulling some storms. Yes, just less than 4 months of existence as a political party registered by this current INEC, chaired by Amupiton. he seems to be doing well, in my view. And that the choice of Peter Obi moving to NDC and the Kwankwaso joint ticket also gives some level of vibes to NDC.
Yeah.
Apart from those small skirmishes that came up from the primary, the just concluded primary, which of course Seraki Edison has also addressed, that all of that is common with political parties because people have interest, and when interests are not met,
or are not aligned,
then there could be this disagreement. But all of that, they've sorted it out. So it's only NDC that we do not know that have any issue to grind with the court. So NDC stands out as a potential, viable opposition that does not have court issues hanging on its neck as it is today. So that makes them a bit a force to reckon with. But again, to also talk about the APC, who is now the ruling party, they have a lot of baggages around them hanging on their neck. And, they were first to conduct primaries, primaries.
Yeah, in all the offices.
In all the offices. Up to today, the list of their successful candidate at the primary is not known to Nigeria, which is why the chairman of INEC is saying that July 10th will be the last day for parties to feed candidates. So it is at that point maybe Nigerians will know who their candidates are. That's where, campaign will probably begin. So there's a whole lot. You can't wish the opposition, over now because the baggages hanging on the neck of APC, they are enough for them to chew. So if they believe in their make-believe assertion that they are a dominant party, they have 32 governors, some of those governors will not even come back.
They
will not come back.
Yeah.
They will be voted out of office because the performance will determine whether they come back or otherwise. Those people that are saying when they have opportunity of talking to the press for the optics, they make so much boast about how they have, done so well. I just laugh at them. Politicians can be so, full of themselves. We do respect to them anyway. That you believe that, you are doing so much. It is the people that will tell you that you are doing so well. Because in the eye, the beauty is in the eye of the beholder. So you always believe that you are doing so well. But can we mark your script? Because we set the exam for you. You've written an exam, you won't mark your script yourself, because if you mark it yourself, you mark yourself excellent. So it is we that are the examiner will mark your script, and we will mark your script on election day. So I'm saying that citizens should take this coming election very critically. And it should not be party-based. It should be personality-based, in my own view.
Yes.
Anybody that that have an antecedent to deliver, to respond to the yearnings and aspirations of the people that they are representing. Those are the people that should get the endorsement of Nigerians. Not people that get into political office, you cannot assess them.
Yes.
When you pull a call across to them or you send text message, they will tell you that, don't you know that I receive more than 1,000 text messages a day? Excuse you. You were the one that asked for the office. And we say, go. So why are you excusing yourself? That's why I said there's no excuse that is good enough that can justify failure. Yeah. So Nigerians should look at all the gladiators, irrespective of political parties, and vote for people that can have, their interests at hand. And let nobody begin to say, we are the majority party. We don't need to become a majority party syndrome thing. Any party that can have their person in the position there is better. Because today in the National Assembly, and in the Senate, it's only Ochomole and Ali Udume that I see as senators out of the 109. This is my own view. Adams Ochomole and Ali Udume. They are the people that can speak truth to power, whether right or wrong. You saw what's happening now in the NNPC gates.
210 trillion of Malam Kyari.
So how much has this government budgeted in 3 years? Not even up to 210 trillion yet. But that money is alleged to be in the hand of one individual. And some people are making excuse for that individual. And I listen to Shomolo saying that they are making excuse because that same man has also employed their children, in those juicy offices in the NNPC. So are they turning Nigeria to a royalty government where from father to daughter to son, and so the rest of hundreds of millions of Nigerians will now be clapping for them. They won't get that chance in 2027. I say so.
Okay, now, as much as you've said that, I know time is not a friend. I will soon let you go. But I feel it will not, our discussion will not be complete if we do not talk to the electorate. That's the center point of our discussion.
Absolutely.
Yes, we're looking at the state of the nation, but in all, it is who we vote that will determine how the state of the nation will definitely.
Absolutely.
Now, let's come to the issue of voting patterns. Now, in the last 2023 elections, we had about 29.7 million Nigerians that voted. About almost 26% or 26.72% of voters casted their vote during that period. Many will say it was more of an exciting contest. And we had many young Nigerians, rather than play football on the day of the elections, they rather went to the polling vote to vote on the day of election, unlike previous elections. And one of the reasons is we had some beautiful movements, like the obedient movement that came on board. They haven't won that of Delta when it comes to that of the presidential and a whole lot. Now, those were things that ignited the elections in 2023. Let's look at 2027. Are we going to have large numbers of Nigerians coming out to vote? Would it hit the record that we did in 2023? Or in your own honest assessment, we might have little or less people willing to cast their vote? And my final question on that, the second follow-up, even if we have large numbers, would the vote count?
Okay, let me start with the first one. I can assure you that we'll have more voters, particularly in the youth demography, this time, more than 2023.
And you're placing your assertion on what?
Oh, clear, because of, the disaffection, dissatisfaction that is out there between May 29, 2023 till date. Because don't forget, Nigerians have had it so rough these past 3 years. Oh, yes. And this is a pointer. I used to tell people, it's the sleep that you used to test death. If a man is sleeping, that's how you will look like when he's dead. So we have seen 3 years of very touching and excruciating pain by Nigerians. And now we are going to the final year of this tenure. So it is up to Nigerians now to want to continue in this voyage that leads to nowhere, where death is like birth as it should be. So that's my belief, that Nigerians will be so determined this time to come out to ventilate their displeasure or pleasure. For those who believe that this government is working, they will come out to vote for them. For those who believe that this government is not serving their interests, even though they may be working in their own eyes, they will also come and vote in that order. That's my strong belief. That's what gives me that belief. And that's why we're also speaking to them that voter registration exercise, the last layer is also ongoing. Up till, sometime October or so.
September ending.
September ending. So anyone that has attained the age of 18 years and above, and you've not been privileged to vote, please pre-register and go and get your PVC. So that for once, let Nigerians determine that, look, we don't want it this way again. This is how we want it. Then the second leg of your question is that, so even if they vote with their vote count, their vote will count.
Because that's what many feel in 2023.
So I am saying here on air that their vote will count. Now, how would their vote count? Their vote will count when they stand tall to ensure that the vote counts. Power is taken, it's not given. For you to ensure that your vote counts, stay with your vote. One day sacrifice to redeem your country for 4 years should not be too much for any citizen. That's why when I see citizens say, I don't vote. So when you don't vote, so how does it sound to you? Where is your patriotism? Where is your civic responsibility? So it's not a thing that you want to be proud of, that I don't vote because the vote will not count. No. That is why you are tolerating them. Which is why in my opening statement, I told you here that a bad situation you do nothing about now will get worse. We have tolerated them from 1999 till date. And that's why they are festering. That's why they could sit down and begin to churn out policies that will protect them and their patrimony at our expense. So we must say no to it. Only what you say no to will leave you. So we must be ready to come out and vote for anybody of our choice. And we hold those people accountable. Another thing I need to say here, campaigns are going to come.
Yes.
There's what we call citizen charter of demand.
Yes. From
us in the development sector. Those are the things we are putting out before the candidates. So what are you going to do when you are voted into office? so that we can hold you with what you have said.
Yeah.
Nigeria is only one country that I see that we don't evaluate what our political office holder does. We don't. We don't evaluate it as we should do and show them their scorecard why they are there. When you try to do that, they see you as an opposition. But without constructive criticism, government will not be able to deliver. Government will not be able to deliver because there are so many hallelujah people around government circle that, you know, they feed from psychophancy. Governor, you don't hear. See where they hail you for everywhere. And nobody is hailing the man. And the man get carried away that somebody said somebody is hailing him. And they go and talk, they make boastful statements everywhere. And when the ships are down, they be crying foul. So Nigerians should be circumspect. We are in a very terrible times that where leaders that should be trusted with authorities have, of course, betrayed those trusts. And for any such that betrayed those trusts, they should be booted out of office on election day. There is no respect of person. Because as a believer, as a Christian, the Bible is very clear in Colossians 3 verse 25 that every man will receive for the wrong he has done. And there's no respect of person. So if you have not served us well, in any capacity you are elected to, get ready to get a blood face, a blood face from Nigerians come 2027. So I wish Nigeria, well. From every day I wake up, I pray for Nigeria. But it's beyond prayer. In prayer, faith without work is dead. So when we pray, we also go out and conscientize citizens to know what they should do. And when the time comes, they do just that, and society will be better for it.
Well, anyway, it will also be better for us to say, well, we really do not have much time. And I feel it's also time for us to really call it a quit. I know how busy you are, but you needed to oblige us this opportunity to speak your mind, to speak your word true to power and true in saying that indeed we need more as it concerns the state of the nation. I need to thank you so much, and I'm talking of no other person but Pastor Edewor Egedegbe. You do know he's a human capital development practitioner and the executive director of the Rebirth Centre and also director of studies. I do know you're the director of studies. And also you do know he's a member of or coordinator of the Transition Monitoring Group, Delta State Steering Committee. And a member of a whole side-by-side movement. A whole lot.
A whole lot. Male Feminist Network. Yes.
Male Feminist Network.
Network. Across
one of that you also indulge it. I really need to thank you so much.
Thank you.
Excuse me. For spending this time with us and speaking true to power and also lighting on what we need to do as citizens of this great country to see how we can indeed put in our own to ensure that the country moves to the proposed promised land. And anyway, many will say we'll be in the wilderness for more than 40 years, but I don't know. I'm not in the Bible state. But anyway, what I do know is to say thank you so much. And like Oliver Twist, we might really call for you again anytime soon to also address some major issues, critical issues on the front burner of the country. Thank you so much.
It's my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Well, anyway, it's more of a wrap on us, with us on the show, the very first way and the best way to start off the week and indeed to start off dialogue. Talking and dialoguing on issues that seems to take center stage in the country. I'll always implore you to please drop your comment, contribution, and reactions. Let them follow. Let the show not just end here, but our discussion always continue. Let's take it to the social media space, and you can get all that you need to follow us on our YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Come on, let's have you right there. Drop your comment, reactions, and indeed like and share because we'd like to have you do that. But for me, it's a quick bye-bye. But remember, we're still with Viewpoint. The news will come pretty soon. But do have a great week ahead. Bye for now.